We've been talking about the Eightfold Path in the Buddhist teaching of the Eightfold Path. And the title of my talk today is Samadhi Grows from Gentleness. So I'm going to focus on one of the factors, the spokes, the folds, called Samadhi. And this morning, I woke up kind of in my usual manner, and I listened to the news as part of my waking up, and I felt this alarm, as there has been every day since the election. And even though it's not unexpected, it's still alarming to hear and watch. And where this is going, we have a historical reference which heightens that alarm and shock. But yesterday in our group, we ended on a note of gentleness. It was kind of brought in the after sharing, and it stayed with me. And I'm really glad this is a quality that we emphasize in reflective meditation, and that I've cultivated and befriended. Because as I experienced the alarm and shock, outrage this morning, it seemed to have a gentleness with it, which felt similar to receptivity, like I could approach my reactions. The way I was experiencing my reactions, I was able to hold them and think about them a little bit more. And that I hadn't lost my capacity to investigate or to be curious in the midst of feeling this shock and alarm. And I'm attributing that to the kind of gentleness that I've been carrying with me. And I still feel some of the shock, the alarm, the dismay. That hasn't gone. But in this case, I'm going to recognize the gentleness as a kind of calm, as samadhi. A samadhi that has been developing, and that it's considered in Buddhist teachings part of the Eightfold Path, but also as a strength and a power that we develop. Now, you might be in a different place around this morning, and I might be in a different place about this on a different day at a different time. So really, what I want to emphasize is that samadhi is dependent on other conditions. It's not something in and of itself that we have and keep. It's dependent on other things. Now, anytime we use a Pali word, a Buddhist word, we try to talk about it in English. And samadhi is a difficult word to translate. So I'm going to take a few stabs at it, and it's going to be much more of a spectrum. Rather than a thing. So samadhi is spelled Samadhi. And the first the three letters, some, in this, it's pronounced some, in this word means together or integrated. And from that, the that follows is taking us toward something. Again, these prefixes mean different things in different words, but in this word, this kind of togetherness is going toward something. And the the last D-H-I, or in this case D, is to get hold of it, to actually touch it, contact it, get a hold of it. So the spectrum of definitions that we use for samadhi can be calm and settled, concentrated, focused, absorbed and unified, altered states that kind of hold on to something that's unusual or we haven't seen it before, or puts things together in an odd way. And one of our favorite words that we use for samadhi is collectedness. It's like a collectedness, an inward collectedness. Now, I'm going to extend that today, the collectedness, to recollection, recollecting. So I'm going to focus on this because recollecting or collecting is actually the opposite of letting go. So it's a very important process within meditation practice. It's as important as letting go of things is to be able to collect them, gather them, re-look at them, remember them. Lots of re's here. Review them, reflect upon them. So in focusing on recollecting as samadhi, I want to consider it that that's the first thing we do after we stop meditating, is we recollect. We recollect what our experience was. We recollect it so we can review it, we can remember it, we can reflect upon it, and that we're gathering it in one place to relook at it. Oops, turn off my phone. So this is really another way that samadhi develops in our practice, not just in the meditation, but afterwards, in this remembering, reflection, recollection. So yesterday in my meditation, I had a really a lot of shame arose in my sitting. It was very strong. It got my attention. It was like a neon light. I could not ignore it. And it was about an email exchange that I had with someone that I was getting to know, and I respected them. And I was trying to remember the details in the meditation sitting. And I could remember some, but basically I felt waves of shame around this interaction. It would kind of come up and then they would dissipate and then they would come up again. And now this wasn't the only thing going on. I also had other things going on in the meditation. But when I came out, the shame was still very strong. And as I was writing it down in the reflection, I was curious enough to say, I'm going to look up these emails. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to reinvestigate this. And so I did as part of my reflection period. And the email exchange was from 2022. And it was that long ago, but it felt like it was yesterday. And I was rereading them, and I could see so much more in the exchange. Now, this far along, I could see, I had gotten confused and I had made an assumption and asserted that assumption, and she corrected me. And that correction, how much shame we have when we're corrected. I'm going to go to the we here, not just I. Like that just really stays with us, and it lands in a well-worn groove. So just like the shock, trauma, alarm, the stuff that I started off with feeling, these come in and they land in a place within us, which meditation gives us a chance to reflect upon them, remember them, reinvestigate them. And really feels like a revisit. Like it was so real in the sitting, I felt like I revisited that time. But then coming out, I could get a different relationship with it that again was kind of gentle and curious, and I was able to be with it very differently. And I saw in the email exchange that we had even joked about it. And I forgot about that. I forgot, there was a resolution there. We had both thought it was funny. So now I can remember that when that shame comes up. This is a new gathering of events I know it won't hit me in the same way. So I'm going to leave you with a map for cultivating samadhi in reflective meditation. And I'm going to say that it starts with gentleness and receptivity, and that it has a strength and an energy that kind of leads the way in our recollecting. And that it allows us to then reintegrate or integrate the calm and the insights that we get from going through the process. And because our meditation focus, the object is our experience, it's not solely the breath or solely the body, which are other ways samadhi develops. But our map on experience is loosely structured. And idiosyncratic, and even a little messy, because we're constantly revising it with recollecting. We're constantly updating it and reflecting upon it. So I'll end there. Okay. Thank you. Welcome to anybody newer to